Stop sleeping through the hour that was meant to make you great. The world belongs to those who rise before it awakens. 5 o'clock in the morning is not merely a time, it is a test. It asks one question of every man: how badly do you want it? Most people fail not because they lack intelligence or talent, but because they waste the hours that matter most. The quiet, sacred hours when the mind is strongest, when the air is clear, when God Himself seems to whisper ideas into the souls of the alert. At 5 in the morning, your competition is asleep. Your excuses are silent. Your spirit is awake. When I began to study the great builders of civilization, Ford, Edison, Carnegie, Rockefeller, I found one secret that united them all. They began their work before the world demanded it. They lived by law, not by impulse. They understood that every sunrise carried an invisible reward for those who met it prepared. The hour before dawn is the hour of decision. It is when your subconscious mind is most open, when ideas still rise fresh from the infinite. The man who learns to command this hour can command the rest of his day. And the man who commands his day will soon command his destiny. You may think, what difference can an hour make? I will tell you that 1 hour contains your future fortune. In that hour, you may write the plan that changes your life, form the habit that builds your empire, or receive the idea that sets you free. But you will never find it if you sleep through it. There is a law that governs all success. The man who acts while others delay multiplies his results tenfold. While the world hesitates, he builds momentum. While the world plans to begin someday, he begins now. The 5 a.m. hour is the dividing line between the drifter and the determined. When you rise before the world, you rise above it. You discover a peace that cannot be bought, a clarity that cannot be taught, and a confidence that cannot be shaken. In that silence, you meet your higher self, the voice that tells you what to do, where to go, and who to become. Every morning that you wake at 5, you send a command to your subconscious. I lead my life. I do not follow it. That command echoes through your day, strengthening every thought, every decision, every step. Soon you will realize that success was never about luck. It was about rhythm. And the rhythm of success begins with the sunrise. Think of the man who sleeps until 8, 9, or 10. He wakes to noise, to demands, to distraction. The world claims his mind before he has even claimed his thoughts. He spends his life reacting instead of creating. He lives as a servant to circumstance, but the man who rises at 5, he wakes into silence. He walks with his thoughts before the crowd invades them. He plans, reads, studies, and directs his mind. He spends the first hour shaping the world within, and the world without must obey. I have seen lives rebuilt by this single change. I have watched men break addiction, conquer poverty, and multiply their income, not through miracles, but through mastery of this one law of order. Control the morning, and you control the mind. Control the mind, and you control everything. When I say wake up at 5, I do not mean it as punishment. I mean it as initiation. The early hour is not about exhaustion. It is about elevation. It is when you train your will to obey you, when you remind yourself that comfort is not your master, you are. The man who learns to wake early gains a strength no sleep can give. He carries himself differently. He speaks with authority. He walks with intention, for he knows that while others sleep, he is building not only his fortune, but his future. Listen to me. The morning is not waiting for you, it is watching you. Every day you ignore it, you lose an opportunity to grow. Every time you meet it, you advance another step toward mastery. You cannot drift into greatness. You must wake into it. When you wake at 5, you awaken your mind before doubt can enter. You study while others scroll. You plan while others dream. You feed your spirit before the world can poison it. You give yourself the one thing no one else will ever give you: time. And when you master your morning, you begin to see miracles in the ordinary. Ideas come faster, work feels lighter, problems shrink before your calm. You begin to move through life with a quiet authority because you have already conquered the hardest battle, yourself. If you wish to test your strength, do not wait for crisis, rise at 5. If you wish to build wealth, do not beg for opportunity, rise at 5. If you wish to find peace, do not chase silence, rise at 5. The key is not in the clock. It is in your decision to wake when every weakness in you begs for sleep. Repeat this to yourself each morning as you rise. While others dream, I decide. While others wait, I act. While others sleep, I grow. That declaration will shape your identity more than any book, any course, or any advice, because it proves that you can govern yourself, and the man who can govern himself can govern the world. At 5 o'clock, you are alone with the law of cause and effect. You plant thoughts, make plans, and prepare your day before life can distract you. You start in victory, not in reaction. You begin as a creator, not a follower. And once that habit becomes part of your nature, your success will become inevitable. You may resist at first. The body will protest. The mind will beg for comfort. But the law of habit will soon reward your faithfulness. After 21 days, you will no longer need an alarm. You will rise by command, as if the sun itself answers to you. Then you will know what few men ever discover, that every sunrise is a private meeting with your destiny. What you do in that meeting determines everything. So tomorrow morning when the alarm sounds, do not bargain, do not delay. Rise, dress, and step into the quiet. You will hear it then. The still, strong voice that says, this is my time, this is my life. This is where everything changes, because it will. Wake up at 5 a.m. and watch your entire life change. Every great transformation begins before the world awakens. Dawn is not merely an hour, it is a law. It divides the drifting from the deliberate, the weak from the disciplined, the dreamer from the doer. To rise before the sun is to prove that your will is master of your body, and that your mind has chosen order over impulse. It is the first test of every day, and the man who passes it gains mastery before the battle begins. When you wake at 5, you are not simply opening your eyes, you are declaring a covenant with law. You are affirming, my thoughts command my actions. My actions command my results. The first act of the day carries a silent vibration that shapes every hour that follows. If you rise in mastery, the day follows suit. If you yield to comfort, disorder begins its reign. The rhythm of success begins in the silence of dawn. The first few moments after awakening contain a power unknown to most men. Between sleep and consciousness, the mind is open, pliable, unguarded. In that space, whatever command you give it will sink deep into the subconscious and direct your entire vibration. When you rise with purpose, you are programming the soul for victory. When you drift in slumber, you are letting chance write your day. I have seen it in every man I studied. Those who rise before the world begins to move possess an energy that cannot be imitated. Edison walked the quiet morning streets to collect ideas when others slept. Ford designed his day's production before sunrise, sitting in silence until his mind settled into focus. Carnegie spent the earliest hours writing his plans by hand, turning thought into definite instruction. These men were not merely early, they were exact. You must understand. The early hour is the meeting place between the conscious mind and infinite intelligence. At no other time is the mind so clear, so clean, so close to source. The noise of the world has not yet begun. The opinions of men have not yet invaded. In that stillness, the voice of inspiration speaks freely. That voice cannot be heard by the man who begins his day in confusion. There is a moral beauty in rising early. It proves something to yourself that no one can give you: authority over your own nature. The body may beg for sleep, the mind may whisper excuses, but the will must command. That struggle in the first minute of waking is the same battle you will fight in every great endeavor. If you win there, you will win everywhere. If you lose there, you will find defeat waiting in every form. Discipline at dawn is not merely habit, it is self-respect. It tells the subconscious that you are in control. Each morning that you rise at 5, you reinforce the identity of mastery. Each time you obey comfort, you reinforce the identity of weakness. These choices accumulate. Within 21 days, the act becomes automatic. The alarm becomes unnecessary because the will has become law. When you first attempt it, resistance will scream louder than reason, but persist. Every morning you overcome the pull of the bed, you are strengthening the muscle of faith. Faith is not belief without evidence. It is belief proven by action. When you rise in obedience to your purpose, you are showing the universe that you trust its order more than your comfort. And that trust is always rewarded. There is a law of rhythm that governs all progress. The sun rises and sets by it. The tides move by it. The body renews by it. When you align your habits with this rhythm, you synchronize your life with creation itself. Waking at dawn is not fighting nature. It is cooperating with it. The man who rises in rhythm becomes part of the world's momentum. The man who resists it fights against his own potential. Look around you. Most men wake late, rush through the morning, and enter the day reactive, not creative. Their minds are servants of noise, their emotions dictated by circumstance. They spend the day chasing the order they lost in the morning. You can spot them by their confusion, their haste, their uncertainty. They are victims of their own delay. But watch the man who rises before the world stirs. His energy is measured, his tone confident, his gaze certain. He speaks less but says more. He does not begin his day in reaction. He begins in creation. He spends his first hour shaping the inner world, and the outer world obeys. Others may not understand his calmness, but they feel it. His vibration commands attention before his words do. There is a reason the early hours have always been associated with wisdom. Every sacred text speaks of seeking before dawn, of prayer in solitude, of communion in silence. Infinite intelligence is not confined to religion. It is law. And the man who rises to meet it daily becomes a channel for its ideas. The world does not reward the man who drifts. It rewards the man who receives and acts. The discipline of dawn is not punishment. It is initiation. You are training the spirit to obey its higher self. The world will always tempt you with ease, comfort, and delay, but the law rewards only obedience to definiteness. Each sunrise offers you a new chance to prove your mastery. Each day you accept that invitation, your confidence grows. The first 5 minutes after you open your eyes determine your direction. Most men waste them bargaining with weakness, but the strong use them to declare command. Rise immediately, stand tall, breathe deeply, and affirm silently, "Each dawn I rise as master. My will commands my body obeys my mind. I live in order, and order rewards me." Speak it until you feel strength course through your being. The act of rising early is not about the hour itself. It is about the order it creates within you. When you begin your day by conquering self, you move through the world differently. Your tone changes. Your presence strengthens. You walk into each task already victorious because you have already proven mastery where it matters most. Others will notice the change long before you speak of it. They will sense a new steadiness, a quiet authority. They will see a brightness in your eyes, a posture that reflects purpose. They will trust your decisions, follow your leadership, and seek your counsel. You will have earned these things not by position, but by vibration. Every empire begins with order. Every downfall begins with disorder. The difference lies in discipline. The man who learns to govern his morning will soon govern his life. No external circumstance can defeat the one who has mastered himself before the world begins. Think of the 5 a.m. hour as sacred ground. Each day that you step into it, you are entering a temple of power where the mind communes with its maker. In that silence, ideas are born, habits are strengthened, and destiny is written. Treat it with reverence, and it will transform your existence. If you would test your faith, do not wait for storms. Rise before sunrise. If you would prove your will, do not wait for crisis. Rise at 5. If you would find purpose, do not wait for luck. Rise at 5. The habit that begins with a single act will soon become a spiritual law within you. You will find that the struggle which once seemed so great disappears with consistency. The fatigue that once hindered you turns to energy. The reluctance that once whispered excuses grows silent before determination. Habit replaces hesitation, and the impossible becomes inevitable. Remember, the discipline of dawn is not about sleep deprivation. It is about spiritual elevation. It is proof that you are no longer ruled by comfort, but by conviction. It is the daily ceremony through which the weak become strong and the strong become unstoppable. So tomorrow morning, when comfort calls you back to slumber, remember this: the mind that obeys comfort can never command success. You must choose mastery over indulgence. You must choose order over ease. You must choose the sunrise over sleep. Rise with faith. Rise with purpose. Rise with gratitude. For each dawn you conquer becomes a stone in the foundation of your empire. The hour before sunrise is not merely quiet. It is charged with the creative rhythm of the universe. Every element of nature is waking from rest, renewing its energy, preparing for motion. To rise at 5 is to step into that current of creation, to move when the world itself begins to breathe. The man who aligns himself with this rhythm becomes one with law. He ceases to struggle against life and begins to flow with its invisible harmony. When I speak of vibration, I do not refer to mystery, but to order. Every thought, every emotion, every act has its tone. When you rise in the calm of dawn, your mind vibrates in harmony with peace, and peace multiplies your power. When you wake in chaos, rushing, worrying, you tune yourself to confusion, and confusion follows you until nightfall. The 5 a.m. hour is where vibration is set. Choose it wisely. In my years of study, I found that every great man carried within him an inner rhythm. He did not stumble through the day reacting. He began his morning tuned to faith. Edison called this the silent hour, a time when his mind spoke most clearly. Lincoln often wrote before sunrise, saying that the quiet gave him strength for the noise ahead. Rockefeller used the early morning to sit in stillness and review his thoughts, claiming it made him a calmer man in business and in life. The world around you has its own laws. The tide rises and falls by rhythm. The sun moves by rhythm. The heart beats by rhythm. When you rise in obedience to the same law, you enter the current of life itself. Infinite intelligence rewards those who live by its order, because order is the signature of faith. To rise early is to say, I trust the law that governs all things. I move when creation moves. In that sacred hour, before the world has begun to speak, a different kind of energy flows through the air. It is unclaimed, pure potential. Most men sleep through it, unaware that nature is offering them strength, ideas, and peace. But the man who is awake absorbs it. He walks outside, breathes deeply, and feels the stillness filling his soul. He does not rush to noise. He communes with silence. And that silence refines his vibration into clarity. The mind is most receptive when the world is most still. Between 4 and 6 in the morning, the subconscious is open, uncluttered, and ready to receive instruction. This is the time when the thinker writes his affirmations, when he plans his day, when he speaks gratitude. The words spoken in that hour sink deeply into the soil of the subconscious and sprout as faith. A man who learns to speak in harmony with that stillness finds that his thoughts carry authority throughout the day. It is here that the science of vibration becomes visible. Emotion is energy in motion. Gratitude, peace, and purpose are high vibrations. They expand the mind and attract order. Fear, anger, and doubt are low vibrations. They contract the mind and attract confusion. When you wake at dawn and fill your first thoughts with gratitude, you set your inner frequency to abundance. Every opportunity that matches that frequency begins to move toward you. You have heard the saying, as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. I tell you, as a man vibrates in his heart, so becomes his world. Each emotion you hold has a magnetic influence. The reason morning practice is so powerful is because the vibration set at dawn is sustained throughout the day. It becomes the dominant tone of your being. That tone influences every word you speak, every person you meet, every circumstance that unfolds. Do you wonder why some men seem to draw opportunity effortlessly while others labor in vain? It is not chance, it is vibration. The calm man who begins his day with faith sends out a steady current that attracts cooperation. His confidence reassures those around him. His tone commands trust. Meanwhile, the anxious man radiates tension. People sense it, even without words. He repels help, attracts resistance, and blames circumstance. Both men live by the same law, but only one harmonizes with it. You cannot deceive vibration. The world does not respond to your words, it responds to your tone. Say, I am successful with doubt, and nothing moves. Say it with gratitude and certainty, and the law begins its invisible work. This is why the 5 a.m. hour is sacred. It allows you to charge your words with true emotion before the world distracts you. At dawn, your belief is pure. Your voice is powerful. Let me give you a practice. Each morning as you rise, step into silence for 5 minutes. Breathe deeply, slowly. As you inhale, imagine drawing the rhythm of the universe into your being. As you exhale, release all fear, all agitation, all doubt. Then, when your mind is calm, speak gratitude. Say quietly, I am grateful for this day. I am guided by law. I am one with the order of life. Repeat it until your words begin to feel alive. That feeling is your vibration rising. You must understand that faith is not a word. It is a frequency. It is the steady pulse of certainty that no longer wavers with appearances. When you rise at 5 and repeat your affirmation, at dawn I vibrate with faith. My mind is clear, my heart grateful, my will strong. I rise in harmony with all creation. You are tuning yourself to the same rhythm as success. Every law of creation moves through you. Now imagine 2 men beginning their day. The first wakes late, hurries through breakfast, checks his messages, and enters his work already drained. His mind is full of reaction. His tone is hurried. His vibration is disorder. The second rises at 5, sits quietly, plans his day, gives thanks, and begins in peace. His calmness extends into his work. His decisions are clear, his presence commanding. The first man fights his day, the second guides it. Nature does not reward hurry, it rewards harmony. The calm man accomplishes more with less strain because his vibration is efficient. When you operate in peace, your thoughts move in straight lines. When you operate in fear, your thoughts scatter like birds startled by thunder. The man who learns to hold his vibration steady can think deeper, act faster, and create more than the restless multitude. Rockefeller once said that his greatest business asset was his calmness. In the storms of finance, while other men trembled, he remained unshaken. That calmness was not born in crisis, it was cultivated in solitude. His mornings were spent in quiet thought and reflection. His vibration was so steady that it influenced every man who entered his office. This is leadership, not loudness, but lawfulness. The 5 a.m. practice gives you mastery over energy. When you rise early and remain still, you charge your being with a kind of electricity. It is not physical, it is mental and spiritual. This power radiates through you and subtly affects everything you touch. People begin to notice your composure, your patience, your confidence. They cannot name it, but they feel it. You have become a transmitter of harmony. This is why repetition is sacred. The law of vibration responds to rhythm, not to chance. When you wake at 5 once, you align with order for a day. When you wake at 5 daily, you ingrain order into identity. The rhythm becomes your second nature. You no longer force yourself to rise. You are drawn to it, like the tide to the moon. Discipline transforms into delight. The first week will test your endurance. The body will complain. The mind will argue. But persist. After 21 days, the habit takes hold. The subconscious accepts it as truth. You no longer fight the morning. You belong to it. You wake before the alarm because your inner rhythm is aligned with nature's. That is the sign of mastery. Once this vibration becomes stable, you will begin to notice changes beyond your morning. Your thoughts will clarify, your speech will slow, your focus will sharpen. You will no longer rush decisions. Opportunities will seem to find you. People will treat you differently, more respectfully, more gently. Your vibration announces who you are before you speak. Faith and gratitude are the twin forces of this hour. Faith is the generator. Gratitude is the conductor. When you combine them, you complete the circuit of power. Faith says, "It is done." Gratitude says, "Thank you for its completion." The vibration of gratitude seals faith into the subconscious and converts it into visible results. At 5 in the morning, your mind is most ready for this combination. Say aloud, "I am grateful for the order of this day. I am grateful for the ideas that guide me. I am grateful for the law that fulfills my purpose." As you repeat it, visualize your day unfolding smoothly, your tasks completed, your heart at ease. This is not daydreaming, it is pre-creation. The law begins arranging the day according to the vibration you have declared. Edison used this principle when developing his inventions. He often rose early, visualizing the finished product as if it already existed. His assistants would find him sketching ideas at dawn, murmuring possibilities to himself. He was not waiting for inspiration. He was summoning it. The world called him a genius, but he was simply a man who tuned his mind to creation before the rest of the world awoke. The same is true for every man of achievement. They all discovered the same secret: Creation answers silence, not noise. You cannot hear infinite intelligence when the mind is crowded with chaos. The stillness of dawn is the chamber of ideas, and gratitude is the key that unlocks it. Once you learn to guard this hour, you will protect it like treasure. You will no longer trade it for idle comfort. It becomes the sacred meeting between your finite self and the infinite. Each morning you will feel that invisible presence, a subtle warmth, a calm assurance that says, you are aligned. In that moment, doubt loses its voice. You realize that success is not something you chase. It is something you become. The man who lives by this practice carries his vibration into every hour. He no longer needs to push through the day. The day flows around him. His mind is clear, his tone confident, his movements decisive. Others see him as lucky, but luck has nothing to do with it. He is simply moving in harmony with law. Remember this always. The world rewards vibration before it rewards effort. The man who wakes in peace and gratitude accomplishes more in an hour than the restless man accomplishes in a day. The difference is not talent, but tone. The former's vibration harmonizes with the universe. The latter's fights against it. When you understand this, you will realize that waking at 5 is not sacrifice. It is strategy. You are stepping into the rhythm of infinite intelligence. While the rest of mankind still sleeps in confusion, you are giving yourself an invisible advantage, one that compounds daily until it becomes destiny. Let this be your morning creed. At dawn, I vibrate with faith. My mind is clear, my heart grateful, my will strong. I rise in harmony with all creation. Say it until you feel its truth. Then move through your day with calm assurance that all things are responding to your tone. And one day, as surely as the sun rises, you will awaken not merely at 5, but in a new state of consciousness altogether. You will no longer force yourself to rise early. You will rise because you are one with the rhythm that governs life itself. The 5 a.m. hour is not only a test of discipline nor a ritual of vibration. It is the workshop of the mind. It is the sacred time when man ceases to be a creature of reaction and becomes a builder of design. Every empire, every invention, every fortune began first as a thought shaped in solitude. The man who learns to build his day before the world begins to move possesses the secret known only to creators. He governs by blueprint, not by accident. When I speak of planning, I do not speak of cold schedules or lifeless charts. I speak of the spiritual act of creation itself, the deliberate formation of mental architecture that commands reality to follow its pattern. The 5 a.m. hour is the forge in which this invisible architecture is built. The mind, uncluttered and calm, becomes as clear as glass. Thought flows through it with direction. Ideas that are scattered in the noise of the day appear in perfect order in the silence of dawn. Creation demands design. The farmer who sows without plan reaps confusion. The builder who lays bricks without blueprint creates ruin. Yet millions rise each day without a single definite purpose in mind. They live from reaction to reaction, drifting in the tide of circumstance. But the man who rises early to plan his path becomes a master of cause and effect. He knows that each act of thought sends instruction to the infinite, and that the infinite obeys definiteness as law. Every morning before the world claimed him, Andrew Carnegie sat in reflection with a sheet of paper before him. On it, he would write his chief aim, his daily priorities, and the qualities he wished to embody that day. He called this his mental review. By the time his associates began their day, Carnegie's was already shaped. His orders, decisions, and investments flowed from a mind already organized by law. This habit, practiced for decades, was the hidden foundation of his empire. Edison, too, had his morning conferences, not with men, but with his own mind. He would walk alone through his laboratory, notebook in hand, noting ideas, experimenting mentally before lifting a single tool. To him, planning was not separate from invention. It was invention itself. He often said, "My experiments begin on paper long before they reach the laboratory." He understood the truth. The morning hour is the true workshop. The rest of the day is execution. In those early hours, your mind is pliable, neither weary from the day, nor clouded by the demands of others. You can think in straight lines. The first thoughts you form in that silence shape the conditions that follow. That is why the man of purpose begins the day by writing his intention. He knows that words, once written, become orders to the subconscious. Each sentence acts as a decree. To write is to command. Begin your own builder's hour this way. Rise, breathe, and sit in silence. Ask yourself 3 questions. What am I building today? What is the single action that will advance my purpose? And what kind of man must I be to complete it? Do not rush your answers. Let them rise from the quiet like light through morning mist. When the answer comes, write it. Seal it with gratitude. That written intention becomes your compass. Gratitude in this process is the cement that binds the structure. A plan without emotion is lifeless. Gratitude animates it. When you give thanks for a goal as though it were already achieved, you infuse it with energy. You say to the infinite, "I am ready for this to exist." And the law, which responds only to readiness, begins its silent work of arrangement. You may not see it immediately, but the machinery of destiny begins to turn the moment you decide with gratitude. The greatest error of the untrained mind is to live by impulse. Men drift from task to task, changing aim as wind changes direction. They call this flexibility. I call it spiritual vagueness. A definite man may adjust his plans, but he never abandons his purpose. His blueprint may evolve, but the foundation remains. Every morning, in the stillness of dawn, he renews that foundation with deliberate thought. There is a spiritual dimension to this process that few comprehend. When you plan at dawn, you are not merely organizing tasks, you are aligning your will with infinite intelligence. You are saying, "I take responsibility for the cause." You, the infinite, arrange the effect. This cooperation between conscious intention and divine law is the essence of true creation. Every great achiever I studied, Carnegie, Ford, Edison, Rockefeller, worked in harmony with this understanding. They were not driven by chance. They were guided by rhythm. Ford, for instance, would often spend the early hours of morning visualizing his automobiles on every road in America, long before they were affordable to the average man. His associates mocked him, but he persisted. In those quiet hours, he did not see factories or numbers. He saw families traveling freely, the hum of progress filling the air. He was not daydreaming. He was blueprinting. What began as mental design became mechanical reality. That is the law of definite planning. You may wonder, why must planning occur at dawn? Why not later? Because the early hour is pure. The world's noise has not yet entered. Your imagination is closest to the subconscious, and the subconscious is the gateway to infinite intelligence. Plans made in this state are stronger because they are forged in faith, not fear. Later in the day, the doubts of others will attempt to dismantle your vision. But a plan conceived at dawn in communion with infinite law is immune to ridicule. It is anchored in certainty. You must treat your morning plans as sacred architecture. Review them daily. adjust them carefully, and never abandon them in haste. The unwise man discards his plan at the first sign of difficulty, forgetting that every structure faces pressure before it stands firm. The wise man revisits his blueprint in silence, asking, "Where is my alignment weak? What adjustment will strengthen it?" Then he corrects it with calm assurance. This patience turns failure into refinement. If you practice this discipline for even 30 days, you will notice that life begins to mirror your plans with startling precision. Opportunities that align with your written intentions will appear. People will arrive at the exact moment you require them. Circumstances will rearrange to match the pattern you built in thought. The untrained may call this luck. The wise know it as law. When you begin this habit, others will notice changes before you speak of them. They will sense your decisiveness. Your manner will become deliberate. Your presence will carry weight. You will no longer appear hurried or uncertain. This composure commands respect because it signals mastery of time. While others react, you have already built. The world follows the man who walks with a map. The mind that begins each day without design is like a house built on shifting sand. Its foundation trembles with every wind of circumstance. But the mind that begins each day by constructing its vision stands firm. It becomes the architect of its own experience. Each thought is a beam, each plan a wall, each act a stone. When built with care, no storm can shake it. Now let us consider the deeper spiritual law behind planning. The infinite does not move for indecision. It moves for definiteness. When you write your plan each morning, you are creating a definite mold for the infinite to fill. Without a mold, energy dissipates. With a mold, it crystallizes into form. Your written intention is that mold. You may not see the invisible substance pouring into it, but it is happening. Faith is the builder. Time is the proof. Remember, imagination is the architect of the unseen. You must hold your mental picture so clearly that it feels as tangible as the ground beneath your feet. Each morning, revisit that image, see it completed. Feel gratitude as though it were done. This repetition ingrains the pattern deeper into the subconscious until it becomes identity. When your mind accepts it as truth, your outer world cannot resist it. If you wish to accelerate this process, combine visualization with action. After writing your plan, take one immediate step toward its fulfillment. No matter how small, act while the vibration is high. This act anchors thought into the physical realm. It tells the subconscious, "I am serious." It tells the law, "I have moved. Now move with me." This simple step converts vision into motion. Do not underestimate the power of small consistency. The man who rises each morning to review his plan builds momentum that compounds like interest. Each day's effort added to the last multiplies results. What begins as discipline becomes nature. You will one day wake not because of an alarm, but because your purpose pulls you. The habit that was once duty becomes delight. And what of failure? Failure is only proof that the blueprint requires adjustment. The builder does not weep when the first design collapses. He studies it, strengthens it, and builds again. The same is true in the invisible architecture of life. Morning reflection allows correction before error becomes disaster. That is the value of the 5 a.m. hour. It grants you foresight, the ability to see weakness before the day begins. You will find that as your planning grows clearer, your emotions grow calmer. Anxiety is the child of uncertainty. The man who knows his direction cannot be shaken by delay. He understands that every day's work is a brick in a greater design. This composure radiates through his tone and behavior. Others will follow him not for his wealth or title, but for his steadiness. He becomes the axis around which chaos turns to order. Do not mistake this calmness for passivity. It is power in stillness, the same stillness that holds the mountains upright and keeps the stars in orbit. The builder who creates from inner quiet channels infinite strength. His speech carries conviction. His decisions cut through confusion. He does not rush, for he knows that time serves him. As this practice matures, planning becomes prayer. You no longer speak to the infinite as a beggar, but as a partner in creation. Your words are not requests, they are agreements. You say, "Here is my design. Fulfill it according to law." And law obeys, for it cannot resist definiteness combined with gratitude. To conclude each morning's builder's hour, speak this affirmation. At dawn I design my destiny. My thought is plan. My plan is action. My action is law. Say it slowly with conviction. Let the words sink into your soul until you feel that invisible order settle around you. Then rise and move through the day as if your plan were already done. That attitude is faith in motion. If you will continue this practice faithfully, rising, planning, giving thanks, you will one day look back and realize that your life has become the reflection of those morning blueprints. What was once invisible has become visible. What was once written in ink is now written in stone. And men will ask, "How did you achieve so much?" You will smile and say, "I built it before sunrise." The discipline of rising early is the spark. Momentum is the flame. It is not enough to greet the dawn. You must carry the rhythm of dawn into every hour that follows. The purpose of the 5 a.m. law is not to win the morning and lose the day. It is to awaken the power that governs all 24 hours. Morning mastery must extend into day dominion. Only then does habit transform into destiny. When you rise at 5, you begin a cycle of vibration, but that vibration must be sustained. The man who rises early and then sinks into chaos by midday has only tasted half the law. True mastery is continuity. It is to move through the hours as the sun moves through the sky, steady, unhurried, deliberate. Momentum is the invisible bridge between the first act of faith and the final result of achievement. Everything in the universe obeys the law of motion. The planets move without rest. The tides flow without pause. The heart beats without command. The moment you align your actions with this eternal motion, fatigue disappears and purpose becomes fuel. The early hour begins the rhythm. Your duty is to maintain it. To do so is to live by law, not by emotion. Emotion tires quickly. Law endures. The first principle of momentum is harmony. The calmness of dawn must not be left behind. It must become the tone of your day. This requires a deliberate transfer of vibration. When you finish your morning meditation, do not rush into noise. Move slowly. Carry the stillness with you like fragrance. Let it fill your movements, your voice, your work. In this way, dawn ceases to be an hour and becomes a condition of mind. Rockefeller understood this. His colleagues often remarked that even in crisis, he seemed untouched by haste. They could not see the source of his calm. It was his rhythm. Each morning began with solitude, reflection, and planning. He carried that tone into meetings, negotiations, and decisions. While others spoke in panic, he listened in peace. He knew that the one who remains composed controls the field. His calmness created confidence. His steadiness created power. This is the law of momentum in action. The vibration you begin with determines what you attract throughout the day. If you rise in confusion, you attract disorder. If you rise in faith and maintain faith, you attract order. It is not the events that matter, but the tone with which you meet them. The same storm that breaks one man strengthens another. The difference lies in rhythm. Momentum demands that you guard your vibration as a soldier guards his post. When you feel agitation rising, withdraw into silence for 1 minute. Breathe deeply. Recall the peace of the morning. Let that memory restore your rhythm. The habit of returning to calm is worth more than hours of forced effort, for it is not the amount of action that determines success, but the steadiness of its direction. Think of a locomotive beginning its journey. At first it moves slowly, each turn of the wheel requiring great force. But once in motion, momentum carries it forward with increasing ease. The 5 a.m. law functions the same way. The first days require will, but soon motion replaces effort. Each morning builds upon the last until your progress becomes automatic. You are no longer pushing life. Life is carrying you. To maintain momentum, end each day as you began it, with intention. The circle must close in order to reopen. Just as the sun sets in preparation for its next rise, so must you end the day in reflection to prepare for dawn. Before sleep, review your actions. Ask yourself, did I move in rhythm with my purpose? Did I speak with calm? Did I think with faith? This nightly review is the safeguard of order. Carnegie practiced this without fail. No matter how late his day ended, he spent a few quiet minutes reviewing it. He would write in his journal what went well, what could improve, and what new opportunities had appeared. This habit gave his subconscious new material to process overnight. By morning, answers and ideas would rise from within him as if from the infinite itself. He lived not in reaction, but in the cycle of reflection and renewal. Gratitude must also bookend your day. When you rise, give thanks for opportunity. When you rest, give thanks for growth. Gratitude maintains vibration. It keeps faith alive even when the day brings challenge. The ungrateful man leaks power. His mind fixates on obstacles and multiplies them. The grateful man conserves power. His focus on progress multiplies strength. Gratitude is the axle of momentum. It keeps the wheel turning. The man who learns to live by rhythm soon discovers a new kind of strength, one that seems effortless. His body obeys him with ease. His mind remains composed. His speech carries authority. This is the power of inner harmony. He no longer wrestles with time. Time obeys him. He no longer rushes through his tasks. His tasks arrange themselves around his energy. The day becomes an instrument, and he its conductor. Consider Edison in the midst of experimentation. While his assistants grew impatient after days of failure, he remained cheerful. "We are not failing," he said. "We are discovering how not to fail." That calm persistence, born of rhythm, transformed disappointment into discovery. Edison did not allow frustration to break his momentum. He treated each setback as a note in the symphony of success. Momentum is not speed. It is constancy. It is the steady forward motion that never stops to question itself. The drifter starts many things and completes none because his energy burns unevenly. He moves by bursts of emotion. The master moves by rhythm, each act deliberate, each decision calm. He does not rely on motivation, for motivation fluctuates. He relies on law, and law never fails. To build momentum, your actions must mirror your morning's faith. When you wake in gratitude and then complain during the day, you break the circuit. When you begin in clarity and then allow distraction, you fracture the rhythm. Guard your consistency as sacred. Each act, each word, each thought must reflect the same vibration with which you began. Consistency is the proof of mastery. You will find that this steadiness alters your relationship with time. The hours that once felt insufficient will expand. The tasks that once drained you will seem lighter. Efficiency replaces effort. The man of rhythm accomplishes more with less strain because his energy is continuous. Fatigue comes from resistance, not from work. When your inner motion aligns with law, work becomes rest in movement. Momentum has its spiritual dimension as well. It is the visible expression of faith in action. Faith without movement is illusion. The universe rewards not the one who merely believes, but the one who persists. When you carry morning certainty into day performance, you demonstrate trust in infinite intelligence. You declare, I have already received. Now I act as proof. Such action magnetizes results. Let me illustrate this with a story of Ford. When he announced his plan to build the V8 engine, every engineer in his company insisted it was impossible. They presented calculations, theories, and limits. Ford only replied, produce it. Months passed, no progress. His response remained the same, produce it. His persistence was vibration made visible. He carried the same calm certainty from dawn to dusk, from week to week. At last, the engineers succeeded, not because they discovered new science, but because his momentum broke their disbelief. Faith is the morning seed. Persistence is the sunlight that brings it to bloom. Without persistence, faith withers. That is why repetition must extend beyond the morning hour. Each action through the day is repetition of belief. Each decision, each thought, each calm response reinforces the vibration of faith. The more consistent the repetition, the more powerful the momentum. Now consider how others perceive the man of rhythm. His composure under stress makes him magnetic. People instinctively trust those who remain calm when others panic. They feel that such a man sees farther, knows more, stands upon rock while others stand upon sand. This perception grants influence. Leadership is not given, it is sensed. The man of rhythm becomes a lighthouse. Others steer by his light. This influence grows silently. Without boasting, you begin to shape your environment. Chaos quiets in your presence. Disputes resolve more quickly. Even those who once opposed you become cooperative. They cannot resist the gravitational pull of your calm. You have become a center of order, and all disorder seeks harmony around you. This is not magic. It is the law of vibration sustained through momentum, but beware pride. The moment you think yourself invincible, you break the rhythm. The law rewards humility, because humility keeps the channel clear. Each morning's stillness must remind you that your strength flows from alignment with infinite intelligence, not from ego. Pride closes the circuit. Gratitude keeps it open. At the end of each week, perform what I call the rhythm review. Sit alone and ask, where did I move in harmony? Where did I allow disorder? Do not judge yourself harshly. Observe with the same calmness you cultivated at dawn. Improvement is born from observation, not condemnation. Each week of awareness compounds progress. Within months, your life will resemble a well-conducted orchestra, each part in time, each action in tune. Momentum also deepens your intuition. The more you live by rhythm, the clearer your inner voice becomes. You will begin to sense which paths are right, which people align, which decisions carry law behind them. This is not chance, it is attunement. Infinite intelligence speaks through intuition to those who are quiet enough to hear. The man who maintains his morning vibration throughout the day becomes such a receiver. In moments of uncertainty, you will notice guidance arising without effort. A word, a phrase, an image. Trust it. Act upon it. These impulses are the fruits of harmony. They come when the mind is free from fear. When you obey them, momentum increases. When you ignore them, it weakens. Intuition is the compass of the disciplined mind. As months pass, your results will multiply faster than your effort. This is the law of compounding energy. Each act performed in faith strengthens the current. Each repetition deepens the groove of success. At first, progress will seem gradual. Then it will accelerate. Opportunities will seem to chase you, and others will wonder why everything you touch prospers. They will call you fortunate, but fortune is only faith multiplied through motion. When this stage arrives, you must remember to rest in rhythm. Just as the ocean waves forward and then retreats, so must the mind alternate between work and renewal. Rest is not idleness. It is the inhaling of strength for the next exhale of action. Take time each evening to withdraw, reflect, and restore. The man who never rests breaks his rhythm as surely as the man who never moves. End each day with gratitude as you began it. Sit for a moment in silence and repeat quietly, I rise in order. I move in strength. I rest in gratitude. My day obeys my mind because my mind obeys law. Feel the peace of completion settle over you. This closing affirmation seals the day's vibration and prepares the mind for another morning of mastery. Understand this. The 5 a.m. discipline was never about sleep or time. It was about power. It is the foundation of all achievement because it proves mastery over self. But the true transformation occurs when that mastery expands beyond the morning and governs every moment. When your inner rhythm becomes unbroken, you step into dominion. You will know you have reached this state when nothing external can shake your calm. Success will not intoxicate you. Failure will not frighten you. Praise and criticism will pass over you like wind over stone. You will act without haste, speak without fear, and think without doubt. This is not indifference. It is inner government. You have become law in motion. Those around you will feel it. They will sense that your peace is not weakness, but strength contained. They will come to you for guidance, for in your steadiness they will find refuge. The world, which is constantly searching for stability, bows unconsciously to the man who has found it within himself. From this point, progress becomes effortless. You will no longer seek opportunity. It will seek you. You will no longer struggle for recognition. It will come naturally. You will no longer chase wealth. It will flow to you as a consequence of harmony. For the man who governs himself governs his world. And yet remember, the journey never ends. Each dawn is another chance to rise higher in rhythm, to refine your order, to deepen your gratitude. Momentum is not a destination. It is a living law. The day you cease to apply it, drift begins again. That is why the masters of every age remain humble before habit. They know that victory today guarantees nothing tomorrow unless rhythm continues. So let your life become a circle of harmony, rising, acting, reflecting, and resting, all governed by faith. Let your mornings set the tone and your evenings close it. Let gratitude be your constant companion and discipline your crown. In time, you will find that success is not something you achieve. It is something you are. For you will have become a living rhythm of law itself, a man who no longer wrestles with life but moves as part of its divine procession. The stars keep their course, the oceans keep their tide, and you, the awakened man, keep your rhythm. Rise each morning not to chase fortune, but to express mastery. Move through each day not to prove worth, but to live law. Rest each night not in exhaustion, but in gratitude. That is dominion. That is peace. That is power. And when others ask for your secret, you will smile and answer simply, I learned to rise with the sun and to carry its light until night.